Well, let's talk some more about the developments in Chicago now with Representative Jesus Garcia. He's a Democratic congressman from Illinois representing districts in Chicago. Congressman, thank you very much for joining us here on BBC News.
Good evening.
Just want to get the latest from yourself, really. What do you know about what is going on the ground in Chicago? Have these raids started? Is there an increased presence of agents in the city?
The presence of ICE agents and perhaps others seems to be slowly increasing in Chicago, and we saw a variety of stops, detentions, and apprehension by agents on street corners of vendors, people who are selling flowers, other things on the street, or people who are just waiting for public transportation to catch a bus or a train. And it's very clear that the practice that ICE is engaged in to a large extent is racial or ethnic profiling. They're stopping people based on how they look, or if they're speaking Spanish, or if they may speak with an accent. So the racial profiling of immigrants in Chicago continues. And of course, it is coinciding with the celebration of Mexican Independence Day, which is a large festivity that lasts over several days, culminating this coming weekend.
And Congressman, do you think the ruling from the Supreme Court in relation to Los Angeles, which for now allows agents to stop individuals without needing to have any kind of reasonable suspicion, do you think, is it a coincidence that the raids in Chicago have just started now in the wake of that ruling?
Well, this is a very shocking development, but the detention, the interrogation, the stopping of immigrants, seemingly based on their appearance or where they work, seems to be very racially motivated. These actions began before the Supreme Court issued this ruling. Obviously, there is grave concern about all the implications that this will have, because it pretty much gives a green light to federal agencies, if my reading of the decision is correct, that they can pretty much do anything that they want to anyone, especially if they appear to be Latino or foreign looking. And this is a huge threat to U.S. citizens, to lawful permanent residents, to people under color of law, and immigrants in general. So anyone who they suspect might be a foreigner will be detained, will be pulled over, and could be processed for removal.
Now, the president and his administration say they're doing this because they say there is a big problem with crime in Chicago that they say is perpetrated by individuals who are in this country without the correct paperwork. They would use the term illegal aliens, that it's migrants causing a lot of this crime. Is that your experience?
Totally false. I live in a working class community in Chicago, and history and research, whether locally or nationally, has shown that immigrants behave better than U.S.-born citizens across the country. Immigrants are not involved in these crimes, and obviously they pick and choose a few individuals who are wanted for serious crimes, and they seek to paint the entire population as being these types of individuals. But the bottom line is that people who are being interrogated, who are being detained, and who are being deported are largely simply working people, many of them with ties to the U.S. in terms of their spouses, in terms of sons and daughters, people who they're related to that have served in the armed forces. So the narrative continues to be totally false and misleading.
Congressman, I just want to ask you about a completely different matter. I know you're on Capitol Hill there. There's a story developing just in the last couple of hours from the House Oversight Committee. They say that they've obtained through a subpoena the so-called birthday book, which was this book prepared by the convicted associate, Ghislaine Maxwell, the convicted associate of the late sexual offender, Jeffrey Epstein. They say it includes a note allegedly from President Trump. President Trump says such a thing doesn't exist. It has nothing to do with him. White House also denying it. It wasn't his drawing. It's not his signature, and so on. Nevertheless, this has been obtained by subpoena. What's What's your reaction to this news now? Is this a problem for the president, notwithstanding that he says it's fake and it's false?
This is a most significant development. If the president denied its existence and now we've seen proof that it exists, it raises the question, what else is being denied? What else is being lied about? And what's going to happen with the Epstein files? That's why committee Democrats and Democrats in general are continuing to push for the full release of unredacted files so that the American public can come to its own judgment on what's in those files and who may be protected by it. People who are involved in heinous criminal activity, exploiting underage girls and women, they deserve justice. And that's why we are ratcheting up our call for the full release of unredacted files.
Okay, Congressman Jesus Garcia, Democratic congressman from Illinois, representing some of those districts in Chicago. Thank you very much for joining us here on BBC News.
Thank you.